to the Cell Block. I'm Iron Mike, your host, and today we're going to talk about stress and corrections. First of all, let's define stress. What is stress? Stress is your body's reaction to a certain event that you've participated in or witnessed, or it can be your anticipation of an upcoming event. Either way, stress puts stress on your body and your mind. In corrections, stress is the number one mental health condition of all staff. Stress causes a lot of concern in corrections. It can lead to other things: alcoholism, drug addiction, suicide. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that happen in corrections that cause that stress and what you can do to help with that. First is inmate related situations. You're constantly walking through the prison with your head on a swivel, looking around every corner to make sure that there's no violence or an armed inmate waiting for you. That's how you go about walking into prison. And by doing that, it keeps your emotions up high and it keeps your body tensed up and it causes stress. It can also be because inmates are doing things that cause you stress. Maybe you have to go on an extraction team to take an inmate out of a cell. You're worried about what that's going to be like, consequences. Is somebody going to get hurt? Is the inmate armed? An inmate disturbance may lead to a riot. These are all things that keep you on the edge and keep your body tensed and stressed up. Another one is occupational hazards or occupational concerns of the job being a correctional officer. When you come into the prison, you're there for 8 hours. You're inside, you can't leave the facility, you can't go out for a lunch break. So these are some things that you feel trapped. You may feel isolated. At times there's posts that officers don't even see the light of day during the whole 8-hour shift. All these occupational hazards can put stress on your body and on your mind. Another one is administrative causes. Maybe there's poor leadership. Maybe staff aren't doing the right thing because the supervisors or the administration is not out training properly, not letting people know, communicating very well. I've said it in my first video on communications in corrections. If you have poor communication in corrections, you have a problem in your prison. Communications is key for all staff to know what's going on and be on the same sheet of music. Another one is psychosocial causes. This is where you have a too passive of an officer trying to enforce rules. That officer may ask the inmate, do you want to do this, instead of ordering the inmate to do it. When you ask an inmate a question like that, do you want to do this, anticipate the inmate to say no. He doesn't want to do it. Give him a direct order when you're communicating to him. Some officers are too aggressive and they come in there and they get in the inmate's face and they start yelling and screaming, and that kind of puts the inmate on defensive, and he has to do something. He has to do something because his friends are watching his reaction to that officer getting in his face. So that leads sometimes to assaults on staff when they're too aggressive. So trying to find that in-between thing puts a lot of pressure on yourself and can lead to a lot of stress. Now, stress does lead to other things, as I mentioned. And we're going to talk about those other things later on in some videos. Um, but today I'm just going to deal with stress. If you don't get a handle on your stress, it can lead to alcoholism. If you find yourself when you go home wanting to get away from the family, have a beer, have a mixed drink, you have a problem. If you are looking to drugs to try to minimize your stress at work, you have a problem. If you are taking your job home and you're yelling at your wife or your significant other, you're treating your kids like they're inmates, you have a problem. So, how do you deal with it? You can deal with stress a lot of ways. Exercise is the number one thing. Find something that you can do that puts a physical strain on your body, and that will help you minimize your stress levels. It's been proven. Run, walk, do yoga, lift weights, whatever you have time for. And that's another thing. A lot of people use the excuse, well, I don't have time. Well, just sit back and think of all the time that you've been on your phone or on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. Don't tell me you don't have time. If you add that up, you can find a half hour, and that's all it takes, a half hour during the day to help yourself. Another thing is diet. There are a lot of fruits, there are a lot of foods you should stay away from, and there are some that you should eat to help deal with stress. I have a lot of those articles on the C.U.F.F.S page on Correctional Personnel Training's website. You can go on there and review those foods to help you with your stress. Physical exercise, foods, and a support group that you need. That's why I started C.U.F.F.S, Corrections United Facing and Fighting Suicide, because Corrections has one of the highest suicide rates. And I feel that if people would have found the help, if they would have been able, or the help was available to them when they started the job, when they became stressed, it wouldn't have led to suicide. Now, go to the C.U.F.F.S page. I am keeping it updated with informational things on there to help you with stress. Nice article on what stress is. Nice articles about how to deal with stress. The next time I'm going to be talking about PTSD, post-traumatic stress diagnosis, disease, whichever you prefer. It still is a real condition, as is stress. So when I talk about a support group, that's what, as correctional officers, we do, is we support each other. So if you see somebody that's having problems, if you see somebody who doesn't feel, or you feel that they're not handling the job well, or they are having problems at home, step to them and ask them if they need help. Talk to them. If you're one of these people that you see something traumatic at work, or you're involved in something traumatic at work, find someone to talk to. The worst thing you can do is keep a lid on it and not talk about it. Talk to somebody. Get a support group. If you are interested in starting a C.U.F.F.S group at your institution, please reach out to your training coordinator or whoever's in charge of that at your institution. Have them email me. I will send them the information on how to start a C.U.F.F.S group at your institution for a support group for your officers so you can help. That's it for this video on stress, please go to correctionalpersonneltraining.com. Join up as a member. You'll have access to the C.U.F.F.S page where you can find out more about stress. Be safe.